Here we go.
Yeah.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. It is Tuesday, July 11th. This is Councilor McBride, Chair of the Public Safety Committee. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Roll call, myself, President. Councilor Casari is no longer part of this committee. She has resigned from council. So with us tonight is Councilor Franco. Two of us are here to make a point, so we'll continue with meeting. So first order of business is any communications. Also present tonight is Chief Driscoll, and I apologize,
Deputy Chief Bouchette.
Deputy Chief Driscoll, and Town Manager Marcus. It was a very involved process. So the first order of business is communications. I haven't received any formal communications other than back and forth with Town Manager Marcus, questions, and Chief Driscoll's question and comments. Put this together. Response. Sure. No sense that.
No, it doesn't work.
The fire officers have written a letter in support of
I saw Chief Locher, he had said he was going to send it, but I haven't received it.
okay.
If you want to submit that in for the record, I'll make copies to the committee.
I don't have a copy on me. I
Okay,
can
we'll just, you want to send it after?
Yeah.
Then we'll communicate that information. But that was in support of the analysis of that. Very good. First order is the approval of the minutes. Okay, motion to approve as made by Councilor Franco. I just have one comment. I was reading the earlier section. I have Councilor McBride made the motion and Councilor McBride second. So no change. Like it was Councilor Franco made the motion and second. Okay. So with that-
Coming here just to cool off.
with that change, all in favor of the motion? Aye, any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, next up is fire district planning. So in the package, is there an analysis that Chief Driscoll put together? Thank you for doing the legwork on this.
The microphone's on.
We don't use microphones in this meeting, we use
Okay.
an area.
All right,
That's
I just wanna make
That's
sure.
what we made a mistake of the first time, is these are only active during the council. meetings.
Okay, good. All right, I just want to make sure.
Yeah, I did this.
I'm sorry, interrupted. Sorry.
Yeah,
Here.
yeah, I did test it.
So Chief Driscoll, thank you for putting this analysis together. I reviewed it. It's pretty, I'm not sure if you want to walk through the steps. I'm willing to go through as well, but you since you did the work, I figured I'd defer to you on how you put this together based on comments.
Sure, so from the past meetings, there was I'm sure you use the term consensus or discussion about making sure that the mutual aid people are represented, that the assessed value of the properties there should be more for school versus more for woodland area and things like that. So
Just want to back up 1 second. I just want to start from the top because I think, and I apologize, I should have summarized this first.
Okay.
From the last meeting, we had two main items that the committee was discussing was what percentage of the pilot was going to be provided to the fire departments. The second piece was how to break it apart into the different disbursements, which you did a lot of work. So in the analysis, the very first part is
so, yeah, the very first one is from the town budget line, 4553, $1,506,234. That was what was on the budget for pilot money given to the town, the state of Connecticut. It worked on a 50% split. So that would move to the town budget line 1092 for $753,117. There would be an additional 125 added to that, because that's the state side, which was 121. The next table is the fiscal year end 24 fire district tax mill rates. Across the board, those are the from the town assessor's office. Then the next table is what Councilor McBride had set up for the past meetings, and it has the fire district, the state assessed value. Then it breaks it down to what the actual assessed value would be. There's an MRS offset And I apologize, because I told you I was gonna have that answer for you, but that's funding that Quantic Fire District and the city of Groton get from the state of Connecticut. I'm assuming that that's for schools in our district, because no one else has a state-run school still in their district. City of Groton has Avery Point campus, and we have the brand new Southeast. So I'm assuming that that's what that funding is from. It's been constant to us over the past 15, 20 years from what I look back at. So then the bottom one, the revised loss for City of Groton, Quantic Ridge, I subtracted or subtracted the MRS offset. Obviously, no one else has it. So that revised loss, that is the actual tax assessed cost of the property and the building on it. So if the district was going to collect taxes on the property which is in their district. So for Quantic Ridge, for instance, we should be collecting $1,054,684 if we were able to tax that as a private citizen or an entity. So the next table, and we've already kind of skipped through listening to the counselors when we were talking and such. The mutual aid seems to be very important to you. So currently it's set at $1,000 for all of the districts with the exception of West Pleasant Valley and Mumford Cove. And that was decided back in the 1980s when they started doing the original pilot. Basically, they don't own a fire department, so they're not giving mutual aid, they're just a taxing district. So I doubled that amount, or recommend doubling that amount to $2,000 across the board. The next one is 50% of loss. So I figured when in the discussion you wanted to give more credit to a school or to a building versus woods, by utilizing that 50% of the loss, that is using the assessed value. And those numbers, as you can see, go across. The next box, this one's kind of a little bit complicated. So if you look on the bottom, you'll see where we started at $753,117 minus the $14,000 for the $2,000 mutual aid payments. That brings us down to the $739,117. After we do the 50% loss, we have a balance of $80,433. So looking at this, I took and made all the districts whole that we could. Mystic, Noank, Groton, Long Point, Center Groton Fire Department. So they in this formula have collected all the taxes that would have been due to them if the state of Connecticut was a taxpayer. The balance, what I did was took the percentage of state-owned property within the town of Groton, and the remaining districts got that percent of what was left over. So for Quantic Ridge, 72.77% of state-owned property within the town of Groton is in the Quantic Ridge Fire District. So that 58,000 represents 72.77% of the 80,433. The city of Groton has 4.3% of the state-owned properties. So that's that 4.3%. And then Old Mystic has 4.83%. So that means that 3,880, that's the 4.83% of the 80,000. So that doing that leaves $11,424. Another conversations with mutual aid and Groton fire officers, the training center, things like that was a very important factor. So I figured, okay, split that 11,000 in half, give half of it to the Groton fire officers organization, for mutual aid enhancement, for training, for helping to fund some parts of the training facility perhaps. It benefits everybody. It benefits not just the fire departments, but it also benefits Groton ambulance, because they can do training with us at the training facility, and the police department as well, because we love to have them present when we're doing training, also do some cross training with them. And then the 5,700 balance went into the make a whole gap. So there are 3 districts that aren't made whole. So I just took and divided that 5,712 divided it by 3 and broke it down just to help try and break that gap. The big thing was when we were doing this, I didn't think it would be right for districts to profit. So the only way really to do this was to break it down in this method. And that's why when we came to that area percent, it was the moment you paid off your tax loss, that's when you stopped receiving pilot money. And then the
And that-
total on the
and-
bottom is that.
And that's why, like, if you look at Mystic, it says 50% loss is the 1,012.
Yep.
And then the part in yellow stays at 1,012 and doesn't go higher. Combine those two numbers make up the
2,000.
2025.
And that's same with knowing, Groton, Long Point, and Center Groton.
And where did you get the state assessed value from? Was that from the assessor's office?
That was from, yeah.
Okay.
And the percentages I got from the GIS, I have the breakdown of town property, state properties, city properties. For all the services.
And I did send this to the Mary just to make sure this wasn't gonna be difficult to do every year. Said it's some work, but it's not. She said it's fine. You can do it every year.
I think the only thing when I like fumble through Excel spreadsheets, the only problem that I had is there was no way I could like freeze the 100% loss. So like Old Mystic is within a couple of $1,000s of their 100% loss. So if they gain more state property, they may eventually cap. That would be the only thing that I could. Mostly everything else, it pretty much, if you change a number, it's going to go through the whole. Like we found out, because we found one of my mistakes, and when we changed it, it changed all the numbers perfectly. So that worked out. I think the ones that you can change are the mill rate because they're non-constant. The pilot 4553, that if the state may give you more money, maybe less money, so that kind of is changes. And
And the mill rate will lag because we wouldn't have the new mill rates when we do the formula.
Yeah.
There's always a lag in it.
Would you have to go by the previous year? when you
Yeah,
did
it's
this?
just here real quickly, yeah.
And then also state assessed value. Is that correct? Because that could change.
Yeah, that's what that was the main thing I wanted to make sure Barry could do every year.
And does she have that, or is there? like-
Yeah, she comes up with that. Because you need it as part of the, yeah.
And then the section where the area percentage or 100% loss, that's something that would. So these 3 top ones, the total amount received in pilot money, the mill rate, and the state assessed value would be something that would have to be input every year or updated. And then the area percentage of 100% loss would have to be reviewed to make sure nobody's capping out, or that they cap out and they don't go above.
Right.
Is that what you're saying?
the only one that would even be really close that I can think of is going to be Old Mystic. I don't think Quantic Ridge or City Groton are ever going to match. I don't, unless I love it if they gave us $500,000, we'd be close. But those. I'm not sure if is Mystic Oral School, if that state property, if that's still on Old Mystics.
Yeah, it is.
So, when they lose that property, then obviously their value will go down, but their percentage will go down too. So it should, it should be pretty fluid. And like I said, these percentages are from GIS.
Yeah, I think it's a great analysis. One thing I'd like to see is when you went into detail about the 72.77% and 4.3, If we can embed that in here, because that is the one, at least in my opinion, it's difficult to understand the area percentage of loss, we can embed that in there.
Yeah.
For the next iteration, it'd be good to see where that number's. Easier for the council, to read through it. Every council is pretty self.
I'd like to see all of them listed, and your formula set, it'll pick up the 72, 4.33, 4.83, but because others are done differently, I don't. So it'd be nice just to have that listed, where was that your information somewhere else?
I have all that, so I can easily embed that table into this document somewhere, and we'd be able to work that out.
Yeah. And then I think, adding in the count piece at the bottom, maybe, we help.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And then, so the councilors can see the total.
Yeah.
It's subset, it's good, so they see the total.
Yeah. I was just running.
so, I don't miss town portion with the grand total. From people to grand total. And then also show, what they received this past year, show where they will be and where they were. And then I think compare.
Yeah.
Looking at the 24 budgeted,
Yeah,
I see, I think no one comes out slightly worse with this formula than, of course, West Pleasant Valley.
yeah, I will.
If they're coming off worse, that would be something. And the one thing, at least I would consider, was the 50% make whole gap. I would think you'd have to give them some more back to make somebody versus someone's making a loss.
Knowing is getting 10,475 from the 24 budget, whereas when you add these up, it's 8514. A couple of stuff.
2,000. So yeah, I have no like down by 2,000. Center Groton down by 3.
With part of that is the formula, because you're using the assessed value, which we talked about giving more value to school or to the airport versus vacant land. The other aspect too is this year was a 67% increase. That was just a blanket increase. So if you go back 1 year and look at those numbers, I think you'll see.
Matter of the week.
This is awesome.
Grand total with the town, with the state. Combined.
So the 24 budget I get the reason why, because this.
It was blanket, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was just saying.
But without a.
This will be a request.
So the other thing is to be clear, that we're gonna 5, 6. So maybe you can put in the 23 and 24 amount, I don't know, just to show.
You could maybe do a sliding for the next 3 or 4 years and slide out to where they should be. I was shocked because they're building budgets based on those numbers. So they would have. But I think it's right when I have a formula that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, based on how you're operating. So like, what's gonna go on with Pleasant Valley then? Because basically, they take like 11,000 on this. Compared to what they got.
They kind of look at it that they've been getting $8,500 from fireworks, never mind anything else, and they pay the city of Groton's getting a big raise. That's really their fire department. So
The big run will be increasing that.
How big of a hit was it?
11,000.
What do they do with the money?
And he goes to the city fire.
Yeah, that's the, put out the bid. Or it's in a contract already, but I don't, we certainly don't want to short them. But if let's say it's 4,000, is all been paying the city for the protection. What do they do with the rest of the money? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know.
So before you make that decision, you might want to see.
part of the other thing too is they have no state property at all in their fire district. And they have for town property, they have less than 6 tenths of a mile. And that was the school, which is now vacant. The two,
It's going to be going off the wall and be private.
right,
Or already there.
Yeah, well, I don't think you wanna find out that you're paying the city $10,000.
when the city giving it
And
$76,000.
well, what I'm saying is you don't wanna have them, I guess they can raise the mill rate to make the difference, but you wanna make sure they got enough on it, that's all. Pay what they pay. I don't know, do you know what they pay?
I don't know. I don't know. I just,
Well, the mill rate is 2.67, it's like, I don't know what they're bringing, right?
Well, keep in mind, we sent stuff over, they didn't, I don't know when they replied.
no.
But that would be represented, would they be represented by the city or do they have their own?
Yeah.
Okay, they have their own board.
I guess they could be a little selfish. Just in state alone, I'm writing off $1,054,000. And this year they have $14,000.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying, because they don't have state property then. There's no state property in their district.
And that was the flaw with the whole, there was no system like that. So I don't know how to do it.
No, I get you.
I feel bad for them. It works for my taxpayers that are really.
I feel worse if they didn't try to give us any information or
They didn't give us any information.
no response whatsoever.
And it was sent certified mail. And
Well,
email, and the fire, group that you were in was notified, so everybody in the whole kind of Groton knew about this in the fire.
Yeah.
The firewall. So. So the little things do matter to people. So if somebody's getting a hit of like, just say $3,000, $2,000, they're probably not gonna be happy. And that would be like knowing. And $7. I'm sure they're not gonna be happy about even a small hit like that. So in one aspect, I'm thinking. Maybe they don't, the numbers show that they really don't deserve, like they don't. The numbers don't show that they have the state property to uphold getting those values, I guess. So I think it's justified to change things, but on the other hand, do we throw in more money into the mutual aid and bump that up even higher and try and make some of the people whole, a little bit whole? And it just goes across the board. I
The
don't know.
ones that come out less, you could freeze them to naturally leak, reach the level of what we haven't funded this year. It's not much.
Well,
money.
it's not much money.
Mm.
But even if it's a small amount like that, taking
Yeah.
it like that, there will be pushback, just because even if it's a law.
But Tim, that,
And is it worth it to have that small amount fought over?
you're still gonna split up that, town.
Yeah, 5,000 of it's 5,700 of it's also the fire officers. I understand what you're saying.
But, what about the town, if you don't have that town 120,000?
Yeah, I think that she's got that number. That's the number we're talking about right now.
Yeah, I do
I
have it.
have it written down.
All right.
Yeah,
So the grand total is less.
the grand total, no one will have a loss of 2,000. Center Groton will be 3, and then Southern Valley will be 11. That's why I'm saying maybe mutual aid, that one row there could be bumped up.
And the reason why it's kind of issue, right, isn't it because of this year's budget, or what if we looked at the last 3 or 4 years average? If it's just this year, that's what we saw.
Right.
It is, you're right.
Last year,
Exactly.
no one got $6,360. Using these formulas, they would get 8,514. This year with the new budget, they have 10,475. Now, I will tell you, most of these districts, didn't even know they got an increase until I told them.
Yeah.
I mean, if you did 5 though in mutual aid, that covers the $2,000 and the $3,000 one.
Well, I know exactly what you're saying.
Cross-board bump, one maybe,
Once they see it's a loss, they'll be screaming.
and it's such a small amount, so why the issue?
Yeah, but you don't want to screw the formula either, so maybe the mutual aid deal is the way to go, And yet, and I look at it like, I don't live in West Pleasant Valley, but if they take in 50,000 and pay the city 10, what's going on with the rest of the money?
I don't know how much they do.
I don't either, but you know what I'm saying? Are they figuring their mill rate on just what they're spending? Because they don't have, like Tim said, they don't have a garden.
Right, they don't have a building.
Yeah, so,
They don't-
so they, unless they're paying the board or something. You know, I just wonder how much they have to pay the city to make it work. You know, you certainly don't want to short them, but if they're at the end of the year, they've got $5,000 left in their budget. You know, and you don't want that to happen either in that situation, because they don't have any, except the board. But maybe they don't even have a board, I don't know. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I would hope that they just set the mill rate at what they need in the budget, but nobody's gonna look at them budgets, right, Tim? That's because they don't even have to audit them small budgets, right?
Anything under,
Million, you told me?
anything under $1 million doesn't look like.
Well, how would this change if we just up the mutual aid across the board to $5,000?
With resolve knowing, and then,
And
around close, very close.
you know what I mean? We just
Yeah.
go to 5. I mean, why not?
And it would still leave West Pleasant Valley with $6,000. That they, you said they were losing $1,000?
Well, they would still get the town side of it.
Yeah.
Whatever they get.
75.
They're just, but they will still lose. They're not gonna get it. They wouldn't be getting it because they don't have mutual aid. What do you think?
I kind of like, I mean, this seems fair in my mind. So I'd like to get to fair. At some point, I agree, it's kind of hard to put the legs on right away. So either do that or slide it back. I don't know if that wasn't a headache to do over a 3-4 year period.
That's something I think it's simple, really just, everyone. What do you think?
It's not going to affect us, Southern Valley, we didn't get in.
Right, but everybody else, I mean, everybody just do bump it to 5. It'll change the rest of the formula below it.
Yeah.
But on the most part, everybody,
Again, they didn't participate, and that was sort of a warning we gave them.
Yeah.
we did.
What if they say, well, we're going to start to participate next year?
But this is when we're creating.
This is what the
policies.
And they still.
And exactly, they still don't come into the equation of mutual aid, and they still don't come into any state property. So this is still blank. It's the town aspect of
And
it.
there's plenty of time for the next year's budget to get the word out, because
And maybe in the future, we look at the town side of it, you know, later on in the future and figure out if that's calculated in the best. That's fine.
The only.
Well, you're going to bump up, but not go excess.
Right,
So it's still going to affect.
So. Doing this very, very fast, but it looks to me like, knowing, if you go by fiscal year 24. Knowing we'll lose money under this recommendation. But they will have gained. Almost $2,000 what they had in all the years before. Senator Groton. Again, they'll lose money, they'll lose. About 3,000 from this year, but they're gaining over 1,000. From all the years before.
the last 20 years.
And I hate to say it,
Yeah.
but the only people that have come before you to ask and beg and plead you to do something about the formula because of it. Just so inaccurate is us. And they didn't show up and didn't even respond back to the certified mail.
the fire department just didn't take into account the new numbers, correct? It was too late for that.
Right.
So you're using, so you're using
We're
23
using
numbers.
all of them.
Yeah, so this area doesn't build in people's budgets yet. And there's plenty of time to get the word out for next year.
It's kind of not material. It's early before the budget process starts. Hate to say that, it's not as material. to me.
Exactly.
I mean, I like the formula, maybe. Why, I mean, I can go read it. I mean, I like this slide thing. I feel like it's a disservice what we did in this year's budget. Because we can't really- Without really asking questions, or, you know, had we really deep dove into numbers, they wouldn't have these numbers. That go with this analysis.
No, I agree with you.
So. Why?
But yes,
fix that?
Yeah, also keep in mind though that with the state, that pile dollars could be going down at some point. And it's good, so everyone's numbers are gonna go down anyhow. So I mean, it's gonna be where, you know, wherever it is, it's not gonna be static, so,
Right.
Yeah, change every.
yeah.
Right, so it's not, yeah, so even these numbers, next year, we don't get the 1.5, we
Right.
get 1.1.
I'm sorry.
Or if they go up, you never know, if these numbers will fluctuate anyway.
And we want to take the biggest hit because it's based on percentage.
I mean, you take the biggest hit as it is right now and lost, so.
I mean, what would a compromise be to split the difference between the 84, or say 8,500, but they've got, this is West. Center Groton, 56, 56, 56. So call it even, you know, if you split the difference between the 56 and what they get this year,
Nice. 9,000.
so for easy numbers, call 7,500 and popped in. And you use 7,500 as the base.
Yeah, because you have 7,500 as the average, and what they have on here is about.
So every year going forward, you would calculate it and if it goes up beyond that, then it goes up, but otherwise you hold them harmless at the 7,500 in the future.
Yeah, so they're giving a little bit because they're really just got a big budget.
Now, though a pilot suddenly took a big drop, then we would hold them harmless at that point.
I don't know if we should hold. That's
Yeah,
why
I like to look, I kind of like the
I
5.
don't hold, because then we're looking at everybody. And you gotta throw Pleasant Valley, who has no state property as a whole too. And they don't have any town property either, that's where the schools are. So, I'm good with this, to be honest with you, I would probably go forward, I don't like, even just a couple thousand could make people very upset. Such small amounts would, you know, that even in our budget, when it comes to outside services and very small amounts are the biggest arguments, I will tell you right now. And, that's what I don't want to see happen here. So, that's why I was just suggesting the mutual aid, we bump it up across the board. It changes some of the calculations on the bottom, but on the most part, I know Front Bridge, I think,
Didn't you say GFAO is gonna do a letter of support, right?
Yeah.
So it has no ink in Mystic, seen the
So they've
updated
seen
your
all of
numbers? So they're aware that they did.
And they're-
I know it's-
so they're good with the way it is, even if they was. For this coming, like if it was next year or something.
Yeah, and I explained to Nolan, the chief, when I was explaining to him, this, this is what you're going to get. This year was inflated because of it.
But they're all good with it.
Yeah.
So then if they're good with it, if there is a letter, and we get to see, I think we should feel that, I haven't seen the letter, so
Yeah, I can't get to my work email.
that's okay. But if you send us the letter.
I'll top of my
we're
head,
good.
just forward it.
So we'll go this, we can have a B scenario that we even we modify.
Next meeting, or when do you want to?
I'd like to see this one story final shapes and review it.
And with those, little bit of other information requested in the
Yes.
spreadsheet.
But I think it's in great shape.
Yeah, it's a great work on it. Appreciate it.
Thank you. So you want, basically, this is the table that has all the state property. You want that, have it,
Yeah, embedded in, if you send it to me, I can do the work, but it's just gonna be in, I'm just gonna provide the details so the council can see what that 50, that area percentage or something.
okay, so.
And then we're gonna add in, as Freddie said, the total. Town, we're gonna add the bottom, we're gonna add a grand total. And then last year's interest.
Yeah, sure, comparison.
I'll send that all out. Trying to take.
And this right here, I put a little notation at the bottom, that the assessed values are from where the numbers came from, so
Yeah,
that would be just so people.
Then we probably should define the business. And just for consistency, the MRS offset, we make that a negative. So it's easier, so it's decrease.
A clerical item also, let's say that you can't charge for mutual aid. I don't know, but services rendered, or even want to just change the name of that. I don't think it'll be an issue right now, that is a potential.
you're good with services rendered,
Yeah, services rendered or anything,
I think, yeah, for everything.
but for federal grants, we're not allowed to charge mutual aid or receive funding. for mutual aid. That's just, it probably won't be an issue. If I get audited.
Safety, sorry.
Yeah.
We should probably explain why we're using this data system. Even if it's a tax plan, because that's the key term. And, you summarize it, we may want to go a little more detailed buildings. But it was good. And the real question is the 50% the number? That's. Because we'll probably have to show the council historically 28 to whatever it was back. Why we changed 50%.
You know, hope is to have this as policy, this.
I have that timeline that has all the email backings and stuff from that way before the plan. How
Yeah,
many?
you provided to us, right? It's not, you put in a nice package, 2, 3.
Yeah, so what about the policy? All right. How are we gonna write this up then? Who will be responsible for the policy with that?
I don't think it needs to be much of anything. I just think we want direction to use this every year. It gives me cover that it's just where I'm starting, every year that this is why I'm doing it to the council, so it's what I want to do. Like it's shame.
And explain, maybe a little information of what we're doing, why we're doing it. I think that's sort of part of that was in the back of the statement.
Once you guys, have the final version, I think we're going to put policy for
Right, because there's a lot of defining in the agenda of all of that.
We can get put a policy version.
All right.
And going forward, you have leftover money here. Well, they're all the leftover money, because part of it's going to be firearms and mutual aid.
Yeah,
Give you that piece.
that was 50% of the money that was left over after you did area percent or making whole. There was that 11,000. So I said just do a 50%, give that to the fire officers for training and for the training center.
So is that being earmarked into a bucket to be used for capital purchase, or is that just training expenses?
You can give that to them with direction, like here's money, it may be used for training, mutual aid training, or for services of the training center.
You want me to include that? What is the master plan? Is that a facility being constructed, or what's the second part of this committee is that?
Yes, no, it's something big. It's like $100,000 project.
The biggest thing that the fire officers have to do is we have to have a water collection tank installed, which we already have the tank, we can purchase the tanks. And if you're looking at the sand salt shed, that dirt to the side is, I think they said they want a concrete pad so that we could do extrication, so we keep it clean and not. Because they didn't want any of that stuff getting into soil, so we want a concrete pad. As far as like capital type building, that was the only thing we were gonna have to build on the site. But that was us, we were.
Yeah, we have about 90 or so thousand for various things. Hopefully, we need to recheck those numbers. It's been how many years? So it might be a little
I
bit more.
think most of that was to create a new lay down area for the public works.
So like when you change these formulas, like when you put in, let's just say, 1.2 at the top here,
Yep.
and everything trickles down, will there still be remaining leftover funds, is what he's trying to say, or will that be eaten up? On the line
There
item?
should be, but it's gonna be affected as a percentage, so, I mean, if you're talking like a 10% drop, I would say with the money going to our fire officers, it's probably gonna drop 10 to 15%, let's say, because it's all percentage based all the way down to the board.
So the policy will be just this piece and not this, the last three. Because this is really, it's just a year-to-year decision, what to do with leftover money.
I think that could be part of, I mean,
I thought that
it's gonna be chunk change every time, so, if you,
Right, and that's what we did, we took into 50/50 and put the other in that make whole gap. I mean, you could even add it into the make whole gap if you didn't want to get the other 50%. But, usually,
Yeah, I guess I'm just wondering if it's, what's more important, is it always going to be, or the people that say, or council can say, well, I want to do front fire, I want 100% to go to the mutual aid, not to the make whole gap. I'm trying to get, or the councils. I don't have the answer, I'm just wondering, what's really more important?
I like, well, as far as people want to bridge, I want everything I can get. I kind of like this because it looks like the town's investing money into the emergency services, because anything that we're doing back there, we've also invited the police to be able to take part in, and the ambulance personnel as well, so it's really going to benefit everyone.
Yeah, no, I agree, I guess my question is more, is there council going to say, well, why don't we put the total of the 11,000 fire office, not do it? It's why,
Yeah,
that's a discussion, why are we putting it all? It's all mutual aid needs.
I was just trying to make it so everyone's meet whole without wiping out.
No, I see, I'm just trying to better understand why it's 50.
Yeah, I just honestly. I just
and
love
doesn't that, what goes to the ground fire officer group there? It could be bringing all the districts together, it's not just,
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it's part of a townwide.
it's a townwide, because you could do townwide events of
Right,
training and all that kind of thing, right?
right, and we're pushing for just town departments, yeah.
I get what you're saying, absolutely, yeah.
This,
Some questions that will come from that.
and was kind of listed in the priorities from the discussions that I heard you having, like the mutual aid, I knew that was a very important one. The trying to figure out points for schools, just as hard, I tried figuring that out, so just,
Yeah.
I just picked that 50% as a, shouldn't say an arbitrary number, I think that was like the starting point, if nothing else. And then the area percent, that would be like priority 3. And then the priority 4 would be the fire officers, and priority 5 would be to make a whole gap. So I would say, if we run out of money at the 50% loss, then the rest of the priorities are, that's why they're lower on that priority list.
Okay.
I think the next meetings that they're.
You can have, there's not much more to do, we can do this.
Well, I thought, you either do that, you do that, and then once I have it, I could come back with a policy, for you to review. Or else we could wait, if you just send it to me, I could just wait a few weeks and I'll just, you can finalize that and review the policy at the same time.
So you want to have one more meeting, to go over the,
We can do that.
can I get this in Excel format or? Because I like to click on the cells and see the formula, but I really can see why.
Yeah, you can send it all of you.
Then I can understand better.
And I got, you sent me the, so I could.
Yes. I mean, do you want to plan on the 25th? That's 2 weeks. Is that what you're saying? We need 2 weeks.
To finalize this part, and then maybe one more meeting if you want to go over a policy.
I'm good at being here, like, my 25th anniversary.
I put off.
I could try to do a Zoom or a phone call to you if you need me. I could have
It's
something
good for our meeting first. the regular council meeting. And, if you send me, the quicker the better, I can start, starting on a policy and get going.
We,
Like if he sends me this updated version, I'll look at that and I'll just start. Working the policy. That's all.
Send it to both.
Which we can use the one that you sent to us, if that's what this is.
Yes,
And then what I'll do is I'll send this whole table will have town and state and city breakdowns as by square miles and percentage. And it's percentage of town broad. So that has that.
And the spreadsheet you sent to me, you said there's been a correction though since then, right?
Yeah.
So maybe you should send out to all of us the notice version to make sure I have it right.
I thought you sent it
I
already.
sent it to.
Well, Excel though, you didn't have an Excel though, did you?
I think I did.
Did you? Oh, okay. it is.
I didn't put it in PDF.
I'll just send it anyway. I'll do
Just
it.
make sure, I tell you what it is, it's this 643 numbers. So the last version, just make sure it's like cell G22.
Yeah, I can believe I messed that up.
Okay. I wasn't questioning why you did the equal split instead of a percentage, but then we got more. I know you want to do that, because I'm surprised you gave,
Did you want to take that?
you know, you gave 1900 to Spice Girl. You know what I'm saying? If I were here, I would have said percent, you know, could base that 11,000 on percentage, 5 cents.
Yeah.
But
It was a quagmire for me, because obviously I have a self-vested interest in the Quantic Bridge, but this is a town thing. I need to be fair. I want to be fair.
Thank you. Fantastic.
yeah, absolutely.
I mean, they signed off, it's group, and that's great.
I'm pretty about it.
Thank you for all your efforts.
No, absolutely, probably, so I think it's better coming from a fire department, than coming from the council.
Any other questions or comments? Would be considered involved with this?
I will tell you, the people that have watched our meetings have been very impressed, so I just let you know.
Good.
And people I'm talking to are impressed. So thank you all for being together and all for firms.
Thank you all for your support. This is a very, very big deal for the Quantic Bridge. We're definitely dive straight to this one. Congrats. It's very, very important. Who's the other date?
August 1st.
August 1st.
I think that's right.
All right, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second motion, any discussion on the motion? to adjourn? Discussion, meeting is adjourned at 6:19. Thank you again.
Yeah.